If every language was abolished, what would be the one language you would want everyone to speak? Uh, I'll say this. I think that English is a bad language when it comes to learning it. C doesn't matter. We're playing on a challenge run. English is not a good one to learn. If you take any other language class in high school, college, middle school, what you're gonna learn is that English is it's easy to learn because it's unspecific. Like other languages have articles that have like they're either gendered articles or they're referential articles with like in America, you could say they, and it could refer to one person, it could refer to a group of people, whereas other languages have the specifications, which makes English easy to learn, but difficult to understand or to, like, figure out sometimes. As a native English speaker myself, and with a little bit of German under my belt, I will say that I've never been confused hearing a basic German sentence, but I have been extremely confused hearing English sentences constantly. It's really, really hard sometimes. Like, there are times where a friend will use the article they or the title they, and I don't know if when they're talking to me, they're referring to like a person, a singular person, or a group of people, and it changes the entire context of the story. So it can get pretty frustrating there. I won't lie. And although I think English is funny in that regard, you can make some pretty clever word plays, and there's some good jokes off of that too. Primarily, it only makes casual conversation a lot harder. I took only like 3 years of German in high school, and 2 in middle school, so I have like 5 years of German. It's been a long time though, but I could probably understand most German sentences that are, you know, not like super complex or wordy or, you know, like books or whatever, but just the classic like everyday conversation. I could probably get by just hearing those and not be confused. Whereas I feel like, and anyone in chat who's not English speaking can vouch for this if you want to, is hearing English and trying to understand English confusing? Because I know a lot of other countries, they do multilingual requirement courses. Like, you have to learn how to speak English or another language as well. Like, from, you know, kindergarten up to whatever grade. I know a lot of countries, they have a focus on speaking languages from a young age. So that makes it difficult too, because in America, at least where I'm from, you don't start learning languages in school up until 7th grade. And even then, you only learn it for 6 weeks out of a year. And then once you're in high school, it's like 2/3 of the year are spent in that language course. So you're not really learning a lot. You had to do a little Indonesian at the start of high school. That's an interesting one, I would say. Not a native English speaker, but is fluent and has learned German, French, and Russian. English is the most beginner speaker friendly. Okay, you know, I guess that makes sense. There's less to memorize, I think, with English, because there's none of those ooh, that's huge. None of those like titled or gendered articles. It's just one, and I think that makes it a lot easier to get a handle on, I would say. But then again, I only have my own native English speaking perspective on that, like from my own mind, so I really can't say. But I don't mind English. I would say if you were gonna learn any language, isn't Chinese the most popular in the world still? Because there's just a large population of Chinese people. Because I think if you had to go by one language only, you would have to choose the most popular to make it easier for the rest of the world to, like, what would the phrase be? Get indoctrinated into that language. Because, like, a lot of language is also based off of culture. Like, there might be, for example, there's certain, like, dishes, whether it's, like, any kind of Middle Eastern dish or a German dish that may not have, like, a proper English translation, and it only has, like, a Middle Eastern word or a German word for it, which I think would kind of clash. Like, there may not be a word for what we eat. Like, let's say, for example, we'll take a classic American / German dish, the freaking hamburger, baby. What if there was no, like, a Chinese word for hamburger, and we all got to start speaking Chinese one day? How the hell would you make up a whole new word for hamburger? I don't know, man. I couldn't do that. Hamburger is the perfect word for what it is. No other word can fit. It's got, well, I guess there's no ham in a hamburger. Why are they called hamburgers? Like, burger refers to the shape. Is ham like a German thing? Like, what? How do you say, like, ground beef in German? How the fuck? Where does the word hamburger? There's no ham in the burger. Unless there is ham in ground beef and I'm just stupid, but I highly doubt that. Spanish is not that bad to learn. I mean, so I grew up and Aldog from the 4-player file can vouch for this. Like, for a long time, there was like maybe 2 white boys in our friend group, and I was one of them. So I picked up on a little bit of Spanish in middle school, but it was mostly just like curse words and vulgar language. Thank you for the member, by the way, Sam. I appreciate that. You gotta send me your nerfed challenge, by the way. Quirked up white boy with little. I got a lot of bit of swag. No, not in middle school. I didn't. I had the Anthony Padilla emo cut, bowl cut thing going on in middle school. I would say I lacked. I had negative swag in my education. I'm comfortable saying that at the very least. Magic mush? Couldn't happen. It wasn't in the cards for us right there. But Spanish is not that bad to learn. I think Spanish is one where it's easy to learn, but it can be hard to understand just based off of like how fast the language gets spoken. That's fair to say, I think, because like I used to work in a kitchen, and all the dishwashers and most of the chefs there were primary Spanish speakers. And I could learn like certain words and phrases like when I needed help, but sometimes it just spoke too fast for my feeble brain to understand. Yo, huge item for us right here. They just spoke too quickly for me. And my friends, when I used to live like near my hometown with Aldog and TG and all them, I would go to Aldog's house like a lot. We would hang out there quite a bit, and his parents pretty much were primary Spanish speakers, but everybody in my hometown who was like because we had a lot of Hispanic families there, they would always try to like speak English constantly, and a lot of the time it didn't go over too well because I don't know. What I would describe my hometown as is like it's the south of the north. My hometown was very interesting. This is actually because there's a tears up as well in this update. Sure, like it was very interesting. We had probably like we were majority white town, but we probably also had like I would say 40% Hispanic population there. And despite that, we didn't start learning Spanish until 7th grade. And in high school, you could only choose between taking German or taking Spanish. It wasn't, okay, my town was very racist. I'm proud to say I'm not racist. I'm proud to say that, but my town was very racist. I don't want to, like, I mean, I guess it doesn't, I've said my name in my town on the stream before, but we were on the national news, I think it was national news twice. Once for racism, and once for, like a bunch of dress code violations my school had, and it made national news. So I'm gonna tell you guys a tale. I'll do the dress code thing first, and then next episode for the YouTube VOD viewers, we can go into how extremely racist my hometown was. But in our middle school, there was a pretty strict dress code, like no shoulders showing, no midriff. Also, thanks for $10, Sam. I really do appreciate that as well. It means a lot. But there was no midriff showing, no shoulders could show. You couldn't be distracting was how our teachers would put it, right? Pretty fucked up way to put it when you're talking about, like, you know, 11 to 13-year-olds. But there was one day where I forget the specifications of this, but I think it was like, I wish Alex was here, he could tell me about this again. I think it was like 15 kids were sent down to the main office for dress code violations. And all of them, because they were all there together, they refused to change. They said, fuck this, like all we're doing is showing shoulders. We're not gonna change, which is fair. I mean, if you're getting aroused by shoulders, I think you got bigger issues than, you know, dress code violations, right? They refused to change, and all their parents came to pick them up, and all the parents were rightfully pissed. None of the clothing was like inherently inappropriate. Like none of the clothing was like, oh, you know, I guess the word would be distracting, is what they use in our school's little handbook, right? So the teachers decided to call, I think it might have just been state news for this. Yeah, they are weird for that, I agree. It was just like the state news for this. And all the girls refused to change. I think they got suspended as well for refusal to change. And they made it onto the news with that story about the dress code thing. And from that point on, I think they changed our school's dress code because people were rightfully pissed about that whole situation. So at least some kind of positive change came out of that, right? But yeah, my hometown was weird. We were just small enough where we weren't like a big city, but we weren't big enough to like have anything major going on. And being right between, well, just for shits, what's in here? Being right between that gap of like big and small, like a 12,000 person town, it led to some interesting circumstances, which for the VOD viewers, you'll see in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Blank card, yo! That's really, really good for our file. That's insanely good for our file, actually.